You didn't see that tonight.
After a game like this, how do you personally kind of avoid from getting too low yourself?
Stay consistent. Do the same thing that I do, that we do after every game. We're going to listen to some music. We're going to drink some beers back there. I'm going to go have some wine. I don't think that you could just focus on basketball all the time. You have to be able to, get away from the game a little bit. And myself and my teammates, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to smile. We're going to be in this thing together like we always are. We're going to go get one on the road.
Why am I picturing that, chilling on the porch, maybe putting on some Tina Turner, rest in peace, and just chilling?
Yeah.
The Celtics' magic number from three-point range, it's 13. When they make 13 threes or more, Boston has won 80% of their games this year. But when they make under 13, they win just 32% of their games and are 0-6 this postseason in those games. So we talked a lot about this season, how the Celtics, they've lived and died. We got Nuggets guard Jamal Murray joining the show in just about 15 minutes, but that's not where we're going to start, because we already know they've booked a ticket to their first ever finals appearance. But let's start with the Celtics. They staved off elimination last night in your favorite city, Richard Jefferson. You're dressed like you're going there.
Oh, we're going there.
Oh, we are?
We're going to Boston.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We're going to Boston.
You did say that on the show yesterday. Jaylen Brown agrees with you as he gets out in transition and puts it up and in.
No, it was impressive to watch the Celtics because it wasn't easy. It wasn't like Miami put up a fight. The first half, this game was back and forth. You see here in the third quarter, I love the Celtics because they do show resiliency. Don't forget, this team was down 3-2 last year. They were down 3-2 in the last round. They're not going to quit.
Well, they're not going to win this series either.
What are you talking about?
Great that they decided to play at some point of the series, Richard. The team with 3 wins only wins 150 times to 0, but it was great to see them make 18 threes, be plus 30 from the three-point line, and show a competitive spirit.
Well, look, I'm just going to be really honest. I've been down pretty bad, too, and good things can still happen. You got to have faith. You got to believe in yourself. And right now, Jason Tatum, look, if he gets going, that's the one thing about this series. We know the Celtics can do that for 3 more games.
Jason Tatum found it in the fourth quarter, something that has evaded him for much of this series. Let's take a listen to Jason Tatum and the Celtics after the game, gentlemen.
As cliche as it sounds, we just try to take it one game at a time. We tried to break it down of, we didn't play well those first 3 games. We didn't deserve the win. But, we didn't want that to define us, define the season.
Not wrong when they're saying that you're misusing your timeouts. I'm sorry. That's just the fact. The whole community isn't wrong. So for him to make adjustments, he made the adjustments in Philly where he started a big Robert Williams and went big against Joel Embiid versus going small. So I love the fact that that we can see Missoula making adjustments, whether it's timeouts or lineups, because some of these things are fairly obvious.
So certainly credit is due on the coaching side. We've talked a whole lot about how the Celtics can do well when they shoot 3. But in the playoffs, so often it's all about, do your star players show up? Do they show out when you need them? What did you see last night?
And you know what helps a first-year coach that wasn't on the bench last year, that was behind the bench? And what helps a team that's on their 3rd coach in 3 years? When your best player shows up when it matters the most. And that's what Jason Tatum actually did, other than the 5 turnovers, which he still has to find a way to keep those down. He was efficient, he was effective, and he was doing it as the primary ball handler.
Right.
So many times they fall into making him the screener. I like when he's the initiator because that gives him a chance to work himself into a rhythm. And once he gets going, he has proven to us time and time again, in particular in the big moment, that he can make shots versus anyone. And in these cases,
the game is who's going to make shots, but they didn't turn the ball over as much. I think what hurt them in the other games, especially in crunch time, they had too many turnovers. This game, they controlled the tempo, they worked the offense, they got better looks, they got good shots, and they knocked them down. But also didn't allow Miami to get out in transition by not turning the ball over. So it was a great offensive game for them. They played better defensively as well. But I think the whole key for them is to make sure they get good looks, good shots, and not turn the ball over. That's the only way Miami lives.
Defense leads to offense. But, Richard, what did you have your eye on?
Timeouts. They needed more timeouts. That's what they needed. But look, we're going to get into that. But look, when we talked about the 3, I just love the competition that was going on. Perk gave that kind of talk, anti-talk yesterday, right? Like his pep talk. But it's look, when you're going to compete at a high level, you have to be able to have the ability to look a guy in the eye and say, hey, look, this is what it's about right now. It's not about the 4 games. It's about one game. It's about one quarter. You break it down in those segments, and I think the Celtics did a good job of that.
Tell me more about the timeouts, though, because we have harped a little bit on the coaching at times, and I want to make sure we give the other side to that as well, because Joe Mazzulla stepped up last night.
Yeah, Joe Mazzulla stepped up because this is the thing. You can kind of save your timeouts in the regular season because you are one of the most talented teams, 1, 2, or 3 most talented teams. You're young, but look at what they did, 12-0 after a timeout. You kind of reset your guys, you get them back, you make them understand that, hey, look, let's calm down, let's reset, let's get on the boards, let's do this, let's make an extra pass. You saw that one timeout. Now here, again, after this, great play, let's call a timeout, let's reset. What's going to happen?
Playing like that, the Boston Celtics are who we think they are.
Well, but Jalen, and that's the reason why you allow him to initiate the offense. He gets to pick who he wants to go against, right? Like here, look, back cut, finish at the rim, easy finish. But when you get to pick Vincent, who's 5 inches shorter than you, or you pick Bam and you're like, okay, I go against Vincent, I'm going to pull up because I know that I can get my shot off. I go against Bam, I'm going to go at him. And that's what he did.
So look at this disparity between game 1 and 3 and game 4 in the fourth quarter here and what Jason Tatum was able to do. Danny, take me inside this mentality. As a shooter, when you're maybe not having it over and over, I imagine that gets in your head at some point. What do you have to do to get back to where we saw Jason Tatum be last night?
Well, I never was a superstar in my time, so it's hard to say what he's thinking. But you just shoot it out. And I think a lot of times they're trying to find – I like him as a primary ball handler sometimes, but I like him off the ball some because I think Miami will go back to doubling him. And then he has to be, facilitate and find. I think a lot of it was him being – and then, let the chips fall where they may. And guys will get open shots, and I'll also score as well. But there'll be some different changes for that fourth quarter for him. And I don't think Miami will just let him go one-on-one with those guys.
I'm trying not to be a prisoner of the moment here, Jalen. But when they get this game in Miami, it's like, okay, now they're going back to Boston.
No.
They were embarrassed on their home court.
What are you talking about, Jalen?
No.
These Celtics, I believe in them.
You believe in being down 3-1 and winning a championship.
Yep.
Is what you believe in. But you can't underestimate in the history of the NBA, it's happened 150 times. And that team that's down 3-0 goes on to lose the series. Now, the one thing we haven't discussed is Bam had a bad game.
Right.
10 points, 5 boards, pedestrian for him. Usually he's blocking shots, hanging on the rim, looking bigger and more physical than the Celtics front line. He's going to play better. Don't be surprised if the Celtics win Game 5.
That's all I'm saying. Just
but
Game 5.
Game 6, it's over.
Game 1, but once you get to that Game 6, like if we don't win at home, what is the most intense place to play in all of the NBA?
Boston.
Boston Garden. We know that. Their fans, intense, like Title Town, whatever you want to call it, it is one of the most intense places. So they win at home, and that was our mentality. Win Game 5, we win one game on the road, anything can happen in a Game 7, so the formula is there.
I have to agree with Jalen. I don't see Boston.
I don't care.
They might get the one game at home.
Exactly.
But I can't see them winning 3 and playing great basketball. Mind you, Miami's just playing too well. The others are playing too well. The supporting cast has been amazing.
Yeah.
Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, all those guys are. Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry, Kevin Love, those guys are hooping, man.
They are balling.
So with Jimmy and said Bam having an off night, I don't see them having an off night in 3 more games. That's not going to happen.
Well, we know when Bam Adebayo scores 20 or more points, by the way, 6-0, right, in the post?
There you go.
Yeah, we're going to start getting the stats and all that number stuff. I just believe.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes all you need is it on our show, but still to come on NBA Today. After failing to reach expectations, who's going to be coaching Kevin Durant and Booker next season?
Sure, one of the 3 of us up here.
Please no. Adrian Wojnarowski is standing by with the latest. Plus, after getting swept out of the Western Conference Finals, the Lakers, yes, we're still going to have one more discussion about them. They have some decisions looming. Ramona Shelburne is here with some insight on what is next for LA. And speaking of heroes, Nugget star Jamal Murray stopping by the show live. His feelings ahead of his first finals appearance. That's coming.
It's over. It's over. The Nuggets are going to the NBA Finals. What a crushing finish for the Lakers.
We had a great run, but we fell short of our goal. And our goal is to win championships. That's what this franchise is about. I like to say it's a successful year because I don't play for anything besides winning championships. I don't get a kick out of making a conference appearance. But we'll see. We'll see what happens going forward.
LeBron James and the Lakers, they were swept by the Nuggets on Monday night. So now the team is going to shift its sights on to the offseason and maybe making some roster adjustments. So Coach Jarvin Ham and GM Rob Pelinka, they have more.
We had some things that we didn't execute and just didn't quite go our way. But make no mistake about it, this is not just a one-shot deal. We're going to be around. Like, we're going to be a problem to be dealt with. I can guarantee you that.
I would say this resoundingly clear. Our intentions are to keep our core of young guys together, and I think we saw incredible growth and achievement by Rui, Austin. I could go down the list. Vando, D'Lo. We have a lot of great young players. As you guys know, there's a new collective bargaining agreement now that has different components to it, and we want to fit the puzzle together in a way that'll help us compete for championships. Without talking about specific players, we'll do our best to keep this group intact and growing and getting better each year.
What do we say here on NBA Today?
Hey, stay petty, stay petty, stay petty.
Stay petty, then you don't got to get petty.
Who? The Lakers.
You say he heard that before after they won a championship is when they traded him. So it was after they won a championship with him. We're going to keep our young core together. And no.
I'm not saying anything here or there. I'm just letting the people decide. Ramona Shelburne is with us to be the voice of reason here on the desk. So what are you hearing about how the Lakers are going to approach this offseason?
Look, I think we can talk about the young core, but it's really not just about names. It's about numbers. Okay. If you want to bring back Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell, what are the numbers you're talking about? Because D'Angelo Russell coming back is fine if it's the right number. But if it's too much, then that changes how things are. I think they're very committed to bringing back Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura, but the D'Angelo Russell number will Hachimura, Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell matter.
I am very curious to get Jalen Rose's thoughts on this, but first, can you just clarify, when you say it has to be a sign-and trade, that means the Mavericks have to buy in to whatever it is that is going to happen, and they have to choose between basically a big three and their depth for the Lakers. Why would they do that?
Well, I mean, it's about years for Kyrie Irving, right? He left Brooklyn because when they were talking about years, they would only go, it was 3 years, but the third year was a team option. Dallas could be in that similar position, but he wants 4 years. Yeah. And if you're not willing to give him 4 years, then he looks around. I think there's a number of teams that would be interested in Kyrie Irving that he would fit with. You're showing highlights of the Philadelphia 76ers. That would be an interesting fit there. The Los Angeles Lakers, I saw him at least 2 games.
Including the final game of the season.
Including the final game of the season. Right. And so it does feel like it might come down to a choice between re-signing D'Angelo Russell and trying to find a sign-and-trade for
MJR. Put on your GM hat, please. What would you do?
I appreciate your professionalism, being very diplomatic. And I'm just going to say what everybody's thinking. You can't bring back D'Lo. I don't care what number it is, what years it is. Because when you get benched in the closeout game, while Kyrie Irving is sitting on the front row, that's a double message. Because how did he get them tickets?
Yeah, you don't buy those on StubHub.
That's right. And so based on that alone, when they didn't, at the end of game, at halftime of game 3, everybody knew that D'Angelo Russell should be benched. He was like -53 on the floor. They were like +35 with him off the floor. When they didn't bench him, to me, that was them saying to him, you know what, we're not going to do that to you right now because we hope to sign you this offseason. When they benched him in Game 4, that let me know that they're not going to try to sign him.
Talk that talk.
And we still got a long uphill battle to go. But tonight was a good start.
We wanted to make sure that we stayed together. We wanted to make sure that we, look each other